So we explained about the product.
Yeah.
What is product management?
Okay, so that's a great question. So when we talk about product, there are four different types of people that we deal with.
Okay.
So there are users, there are buyers,
Okay.
and there are sponsors who invest in product,
Okay.
and then there are developers who build the product.
Okay. Now, what's the difference between users and the buyers?
So you remember we talked about the functional, social, emotional, and economic needs.
Correct.
So if you're purchasing a product for yourself,
Hmm.
so you are the buyer and you are the user, like a cell phone. So you care for all those needs. But if you're buying something for someone else, like have you purchased something for your son Dhruva?
Yeah, I've purchased.
So when you're purchasing, so are you looking at all the needs?
For Dhruva, probably I will look at the three needs.
Okay.
The economic one, probably I will keep it.
Okay.
Yeah, rest of the functional, social and emotional, I will look at from
So
him.
mostly what happens is Dhruva wants everything.
Yes.
but you might buy only certain things based on the economic needs of yours. So that's the difference between user and a buyer. So
Okay.
users wants their problem to be solved, whereas buyers look for return on investment. So you might have to demonstrate return on investment for them. Then there are sponsors. So when I say sponsors, they are the investors in building the product. If you take a big product company, so someone makes a decision, okay, we need to get into this market segment. We need to invest money in this product.
Correct.
So someone who allocates that money for building the product could be a sponsor. If it is a startup, maybe the investor is a sponsor.
Okay.
If it is a service company, then it could be the buyer and the sponsor could be your customer. So do they have any needs, the sponsors?
Yeah, they do. They do have it.
So they have revenue and margin.
Correct.
You invest because you want some return on investment.
Absolutely.
So while for the buyers you demonstrate return on investment, for the sponsors you have to maximize return on investment. Now understanding needs of all these three people.
Yeah.
Social, emotional, and functional needs of the users, economic needs of the buyers, and revenue and margin goals of the sponsors, and then prioritizing what needs to be built in order to fulfill these needs, and working closely with the developers in order to build the product. This entire set of activities is product management.
Oh, okay.
Right?
Yeah.
So let's deep dive into it.
Yeah.
So when we talk about the buyers, now let's take an example. Do you use Uber?
Yeah, I do use.
So you are one of those users of the product and you also buy it, right?
Yeah.
Do you face any issues while using Uber?
Yeah, most of the times.
What's the problem?
When I try to book the cabs around 5:30ish, it's very difficult to get the cab.
Right.
Yeah.
So how much time do you generally spend just waiting for the cab?
I think on an average probably 15 minutes.
15 minutes?
Yeah, they book the cab, cancel it, and they don't come. Yeah.
So
what happens?
So it adds up to your overall travel time. So in Bangalore there is traffic.
Correct.
Plus additional waiting time. It spoils your experience.
Correct.
Suppose let's say somebody comes and says, okay, we'll charge you maybe little 100 rupees extra. But you will get the cab immediately within a minute or two.
Yeah.
Would you opt for it?
Yeah, at that point of time, yes, absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
So I mean, it has happened with me as well. So once it happened, I was going to meet a client.
Okay.
And it was about 5 minutes drive looking at the traffic. So I thought, okay, the meeting was at 5:30. I thought, okay, I'll start booking the cab at around 5:10 with some additional buffer. But luckily, I started booking at 5 o'clock itself. But even at 5:20, I did not have any cab. 5:25, nothing. I tried Meru, Mega, Uber, Ola, whatnot. And I was staying in a hotel.
Okay.
I go to the hotel lobby and I ask them, do you have a taxi? They say, yes, we have taxi. So I asked them, can you drop me? They did drop me. And I was able to reach on time.
Yeah.
But when I came back to the hotel, they had charged me around 1,200 rupees. Now, I remember when I was trying to book the cab, they were showing around 400 rupees. So I was charged almost 3 times the price for the same service that I would get elsewhere. But I was more than willing to pay because at the time I did not even ask how much do you charge.
Correct.
So in that situation, I was a desperate user. because the demand was more, supply was less. I was willing to pay more than what the service deserves.
Correct.
So do you think there is a customer segment like that in Bangalore as well?
Yeah, there are customer segments. Correct.
Right.
Yeah.
So what is the population of Bangalore?
Around 8 million.
8 million, right?
Yeah.
So even if you consider, let's say, 1/8 of those belongs to that segment, because at 5 o'clock it's peak hour, and 5 to 8, I guess there will be many desperate users waiting for cabs.
Yeah.
So sizing that market. So first deciding, okay, there is this market exists.
Okay.
And this market segment exists. And deciding to get into that market segment, sizing that market. That is market research.
Oh, okay.
So this you are doing keeping in mind the buyer. So here you do the competitor analysis, the alternatives available in the market. So in order to figure out the size of the market and opportunity you have. So that's market research. But when you talk about the users, so once you have decided, okay, this is the market segment we want to get into.
Okay.
Now I am the, let's say, cab user. You are the cab user. Now I will sit with you to understand what is the overall journey in making use of these cabs. When do you make a decision to book a cab?
Okay.
How do you book a cab? How do you make a choice of cab? And when you get into the cab, what happens? While you are waiting for the cab, what goes on in your mind? And when you get off the cab, what happens?
So basically, you're trying to understand my journey.
Entire journey.
Yeah.
So by understanding the journey, understanding how you do the job, what expectations you have, what might augment your job, what pains you have today, and turning them into a product features, and then coming up with list of product features to be built in the product. That is user research.
Okay.
So user research is about problem solution fit. So once you've achieved a problem solution fit, basically what it means is you have identified the problem exists, you have validated it, and then you have figured out a solution, you have designed it, and then you feel that, okay, that solution actually solves the problem. Rather not feel, you have validated it. Then coming to the market, so you productize that solution, and then you try to find a market for it. So what that means is, so you understand the microeconomics, and then understand what is the pricing, the product pricing, and what is the promotional strategy. So ensuring that there is a market for that product, the product market fit. So that's the difference between user research and market research. So keeping in mind users and buyers.
Okay. So what about sponsors then?
So what about sponsors? Why are they investing money on the product?
They look at the ROI.
Return on investment.
Yeah, return on investment.
So what does ROI depend on?
It depends on how we run the business.
So how we operate business, right? So take for example, Swiggy. What's their core competence?
Matching foodie with the restaurant.
So matchmaking.
Yeah, matchmaking.
So in order to do this, so they need technology.
Yes, they do need
data centers and stuff.
Yeah.
So do they need to build it?
No.
They can buy it from Amazon or Google.
True.
Right? And then they have to deliver food as well.
Yeah.
So do they have to do that?
No.
So they can partner with someone else.
Correct.
So you basically, as a business, in order to provide this value proposition to the users and buyers, you decide, okay, this is what we can buy from someone, this is what we can build, and this is what we can partner with. So this has some bearing on how much money you spend in creating that value proposition. So making such decisions for sponsors. Plus other thing is, do you think how we have the customer relationship, what kind of channels we have, does it have any bearing on the cost?
Yes.
For example, last week, so there was somebody from ICICI. In fact, there were 4 people who came and spoke to you. So that was a dedicated service. But if you call Swiggy, so there may be one agent for multiple customers. In some cases, there is just automated response. So designing that customer experience and customer engagement also has some bearing on your return on investment. So making such decisions to maximize return on investment for sponsors, that is business model design. So you're basically trying to balance between, what we create and how we create. So revenue streams, cost structure. So creating that balance is business model fit. So now understanding these three fits,
Okay.
then you come to the development.
Yeah.
Now development teams could be driven by multiple ways. So if it is engineering product, like AWS, so that's an engineering product.
Correct.
So who has the domain?
Yeah, the developers, the programmers.
So mostly so they need to have more autonomy.
Correct.
So that is driven by engineering organization. The product itself is driven by engineering organization.
Yeah.
Sometimes some products are driven by data, like all the social platforms.
Correct.
So Instagram or Facebook,
yeah,
they are driven by data.
Correct.
So there, most probably the data scientist will take a forefront. Some products are most consumer oriented, so where you have to focus on user experience. So based on who has more say in how the product looks, your culture might also vary.
Okay.
Who has the autonomy more? So that could be like a product culture fit.
Okay.
So based on what kind of product you build, you might have to build a different type of culture to go there faster.
Okay.
So that is product culture fit. Now we talked about 4 fits.
Correct.
Problem solution fit, product market fit, business model fit, and product culture fit.
Correct.
All these 4 activities is product management.
Wow. Okay.
Now if you look at it, the buyers and the users.
Correct.
Unless you're building an in-house product, they sit outside your organization.
Correct.
So most probably people call that as outbound product management. Then the sponsors and the developers, they are on the doer side.
Correct.
So that's why people might call it as inbound product management.
Okay.
And if you look at this side, on the right hand side, so we have users and the developers. So these are the activities that happens on a daily basis. This is more of a creative or tactical work. Because on the other side, it's more of strategic work, which may not happen every day, but yes, you do look at it quite frequently on the strategy, but it's more on the strategic work. Okay. So that is strategic product management.
Okay.
So this entire function is product management.
Wow.
It's a job function.
Okay.